The latest update right now, especially trending on social media, has to do with the Nigerian Immigration Service announcing a hike in the price of, or the fee to pay for the Nigerian the international passports, and that provoked the huge discussion, especially on social media at this point. A lot of Nigerians, in as much as we're discussing it, some Nigerians are even tired and say, well, everything right now is on the increase. They don't even know where to actually point at, you know. But of course, that message came from them. And as of starting from September, it said a 32 pages booklet with 5-year validity that was previously charged at 35,000 naira will now be 50,000 naira. And then the other one was 64 pages, which cost 50,000 naira. Hitherto will now be 100,000 naira. If you look at the reasons they gave for this, some of it has to do with improvement in passport qualities. That's some of the reasons they gave for the increase. New and enhanced security features, improved accessibility and more faster processing, increment in production cost, expanded biometric data collection, expansion of collection centers, and support for local manufacturing. You know, but if you look at all of these reasons, are they valid? In this current economic realities we are, where people are finding it hard to go buy and then this on the table. Just September, not even say December.
Yeah,
you know.
a long time. Thank you very much. For me, it's not coming to me as a surprise, because I'm one of those that over time I have sat down to think about this government. And there's one thing I have discovered with tangible results, proofs, that this government seemed to have a trademark of bringing out some policies that are ill-timed. Yes, and I think probably I don't know if the president has more listening ears, more on emphasis, or see how he's in tune with the present-day realities that Nigerians are facing currently. When I saw this yesterday, I know a few friends called me because I seem to have an interest there. And I was like, why is it coming now? Not again. Because it's, much as I know that the points listed are valid, nobody can say we shouldn't improve on our biometric system, enhance quality of these passports, the national integrity and all of that. But why now?
Why now? Yeah.
It's the same week we're having complaints or backlashes about the newly acquired presidential jet. Yeah. So just 3 days ago, we have not even finished with that. And still it talks about the ill-timed, decisions sometimes our government makes. Like you said, I feel that if it has, if the information had filtered out and they said, okay, effective from 1st January 2025, I think that could be fair enough.
Yeah, that could be fair enough. Give people
enough time to adjust and all of that. But less than 2 weeks, it's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot. And these fees that I even mentioned here, truth be told, these are not things that are obtainable. If you go to the passport office, they are definitely higher than that. Yeah, but of
course, there are other things that you have to fleece some people. And,
In fact, this morning I spoke to my immigration officer, with, who pleaded anonymity, and he told me a few things. It's the same way the government is running. It is a pattern of, let's say, taxation.
They have their own way.
They have their own way,
passport office. Yes. So whatever the Minister of Interior and, of course, the city of the immigration put down, say, okay, this and that. People always find a way to bypass because they want to make an extra one. So there's no way you can. They know the system.
They know the system.
So imagine that you're paying 100,000 for 64 pages. Yes. You should be budgeting up to like at least 200K.
Exactly. For the same, yes. And there's even something called fast track.
Fast track. Fast track. Where you don't have to wait for a longer period.
You still pay like maybe an extra 50K or something. And wow, this.
I mean, what danger does this portend? Does it mean that more Nigerians, less Nigerians will go for the passport? We know that a lot of people want to jackpot, so probably, maybe, I don't know if that would dissuade them from jackpotting,
Probably.
Or they will look at it and say, if you like, put it at 500, I must get out of this country, I don't know. And with this as well, because there's a growing, I would say there's a growing need, or there's this rumor, let me put it that way, of Nigerians heading to other parts of Africa, Benin Republic, Ghana, to get passports so that they can travel out. does that also increase the whole thing? I mean, the fact that many Nigerians are now looking towards all of those, I say, we can easily get those passports.
Exactly.
Now, Nigerians, do you think that Nigerians will start trooping up to maybe even as far as even Chad to go and get their passports? You know?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes, because of course, you know that, like I said before now, there are obvious these are obvious economic downtimes in terms that we have people mainly on the survival instincts level. Everybody wakes up, most people wake up and they find out what's the meal for today. They have no idea of where the next meal will come out from, right? Now, having to pay extra for the five-year passport, there's an extra 15,000 naira on paper. Then there's an extra 30,000 for the 10 years on. Do you understand? Yes. I mean, extra 30,000 is on the high side.
It's on the high side.
Even if we had to have, even if the government wanted to have a 1 week or 2 weeks notice, let the increase be minimal. Maybe an extra 5,000. Bear in mind that what we are seeing on paper is not what is obtainable in reality. Right. By the time you go to the office and you show them I actually showed an immigration officer and he said, my brother, please leave this one. This is just
imagine.
He said it to my face. You understand? And he said, you know the present realities, unless you want to just stay there and probably wait forever for your passport to come out. He said it to my face. And so the thing is, it would increase, like you said, people wanting to go for other nationals, their passports, to find a way to leave the country somehow, which is at the end of the day not helping our economic system. It's not helping our manpower, it's not helping our resources, and of course even our GDP at the long run. So the government needs to look at policies that will not continue to affect the citizenry at the immediate, things that would not continue to increase this perceived hardship. You understand? And of course, this is coming at the same time. A lot of mouths have been wagging that why the issue, presidential jet, why now? There's still fuel crisis. I don't know if you're aware.
Of course, there's still
this morning, yes, I met a lot of queues.
Queues at that.
Black market
and this is going into like 2 weeks right now.
3 weeks.
People are even tired of it because the question is, what is going on?
What is the issue?
Subsidy was removed. We all looked at it and said, okay, fine. Why are we still having scarcity? And you have lots of from the NNPC, it was so ridiculous talking about, the scarcity is because of heavy rain showers. Come on, can we stop?
How many of the rainfalls have happened in recent times? Apart from what happened yesterday.
Nigerians exactly why we're having this scarcity at this moment. Why are you piling hardship on Nigerians every time? You
wake up to something
new.
Exactly. It's very depressing.
It's very depressing. Very depressing. Imagine someone who already has 35,000 naira.
Yes.
Budget. It's okay, but I know there's not 35. Probably have more than that because he has to bribe. And then you're telling him that he has
an extra. Yes. 30,000 of
he will be heartbroken this morning to say, how do I go about this to go and get my passport ready?
Exactly.
It's really, but like every other thing that we've seen, some policies that have been taken, do you see like a bit of reversal, maybe postponement of the date or even reduction? I expect that.
I expect that because there's a public outcry already.
Probably you have a statement from the presidency or whoever, or the Minister of Interior to say, no, this is what we'll do because Nigerians have. Sometimes I feel they do this thing to test the waters to see how Nigerians will react. And then when they see the reaction, they say,
okay, let's soft pedal and
go back. I expect a reversal, maybe an extension of the date, or a reduction, or both. And it won't be bad. As you said, 5,000 naira will not be bad if you add to it.
Exactly.
I understand the whole thing about supporting local manufacturers and but come on, you've been doing. There's one thing, while I might not call it subsidy, if you remove subsidy from, fuel. The naira and the rest. Why don't you just even from electricity? Why don't you just subsidize passport for Nigerians? I say, okay, let's keep it at this rate rather than compiling our problems. I will just wait and see what will happen. An update. I expect that something will be done about it. I don't think that this should be all undone and then just next month, Nigerians start paying that high fee. No, it's not done that way. You give them time. I would even suggest as even February next year.
Exactly. Yes.
What would be bad in giving 6 months, 7 months, extension.
Exactly.
Okay, and before you start doing all of that. And by that time, hopefully, maybe things will have improved.
Definitely, yes.
People can afford it, and there will not be complaint about that. Just hopeful that it will be, whatever it is.
We are hopeful people.
We are very hopeful. Very optimistic. That's what we do in Nigeria. We're very optimistic, about it. But the warning is there. I think it's a ticking time bomb. If things do not improve, I'm sorry to say, for this government, you might see a protest that nobody will morph into something else. That's the whole thing. testing people patient, and the last one that happened, one of these days, people will really, really take, for how long will people
continue to stomach
endure this thing? You know, at one point it will be too much, and the number of people that will be out of the streets. So something needs to be done by the government, not just talking every time and telling everybody having patience. How long do you want to have patience? So a year. Nothing to actually say, yes, we are enjoying. At least
something
we can hold on to say,
hold on to say, okay.
At least, you know. So when we talk about hope, the hope is even just abstract. It's not, it's not concrete. That's a warning to the government. I must say that, you know.
Yeah.
But away from that, Nigeria is known as the giant of Africa. Yes, the most populated black nation in the world, you know. And if you look at it, lots of Nigerians have stood out in various sectors all over the world. Many Nigerians in the US, UK, even then, you look at it and feel they are repping the nation. Yeah, we have those who have painted the nation in an ugly state, which sometimes even those abroad focus more on the bad than the negative. But if you look at it, I think the positive outweighs the negative. And then you look at Nigeria in that such a shape, you look at how we are as a country and what we have achieved so far despite challenges. And would you believe that in the list of the smartest people in Africa, we're not in the top 10? We are 32nd on the list. Now, this is shocking because this actually came from a magazine called the CEO magazine. They published a research study revealing that almost 2/3 of people worldwide believe that they're smarter than the average person. And according to research, Japan has the highest average IQ of 106.48. Well, in Africa, Mauritius topped the lists with an average of IQ score of 86.56, ranking 80 globally. There's also Libya and, of course, Tunisia, which is third. But Nigeria is not the least. Even ahead of us, there's Seychelles, Chad, Comoros, Madagascar, Uganda, Egypt, Algeria. I could go on and on. And you look at it and feel, why are we rated, why are we graded with one of those with the lowest IQ, not in the top 10 in Africa, not to talk of in the world, where even Mauritius are even graded 80. So if you look at the rating of the world, you know, another yardstick that was put in place to measure such IQ, the average IQ of African countries, you know, has to do with access to education, you know, basically, because the focus is education, access to education, the growth, the speed and of development and growth in a nation, you know, those are some of the factors that were weighed in, you know. But when you look at Nigeria, with all that we're going to, would you accept the fact that truly access to education, infrastructure development, you know, and you feel that, are they right by ranking Nigeria low when it comes to being the smartest people in the world?
Okay.
Or in Africa, we're 32 in Africa.
Yeah, in Africa. Yeah, thank you very much. So when I saw this, I busted into one kind of laughter like that. I laughed because, of course, much as I respect the source through which, of course, the credible source, the CEO world, but I have a few doubts. I have a few questions. I have a few reservations. So I don't necessarily agree with this analysis. Because much as I know that, like you have pointed, access to education, of course, infrastructure development, we need to also know that... And also
implemented efficiency
policies.
Policies are also listed.
Now, those things listed now, we understand that I want to look at two things. Nigeria, there are two different things. Nigerians are in a country called Nigeria. So I'm going to talk from the aspect of psychology, because I did a bit of psychology. Now, if you want to rate a person based on only his environmental inadequacies or shortcomings, you would have rated him poorly or inappropriately. Do you understand?
Okay.
I could be smart. I could be in an environment that is choking my intelligence, choking my effort to express my smartness, my intelligence. And at the long run, I could be seen as dumb or dull. That does not subtract the fact that I have potentials of being an A student. Do you understand? So I'm looking at, in terms of policy, yes, of course, we know that the Nigerian government over time have had issues with policies. In fact, they've been clarion call for policy reforms in almost every sector of the economy.
Yeah, and lots of it are not being implemented.
Lots of it are not being implemented. And even unfortunately too, in Nigeria now, we have a system whereby you see young people say to you, they've said that to my face before, education has scam.
That's scam. Yeah, that's something that they always say.
That's something they always, yeah. And that's why it's because most times when we see the way people that are in the educational sector are being celebrated, you're going to ask questions. Why this? For example, let me paint an example whereby somebody goes into an educational contest without mentioning a few names, maybe like a spelling bee or a mathematics competition, and after the whole exercise gets a 10,000 naira. Yeah. Do you understand? Somebody comes out and a young person still goes into an entertainment competition or reality TV show, comes out with 10 million.
Or more than that.
Or even more than that, even 100 million. There's one we're currently going on the Big Brother Nigeria, which we all know. Sometimes they earn as much as 120 million. Do you know? So when you look at that as a young person, you're going to weigh your options that, okay, if I focus more on entertainment at the expense of education, I'll be better off. Especially I will have enough money to go around, take care of myself. And so the focus and the priority on education as a system, as a structure over time keeps reducing. And I also look at now, somebody said to me recently that how much are your professors being paid? How many of our professors these days can afford to even own a house? Do you understand what I'm driving to?
Agree.
Sometimes they go on a protest and say, okay, they're even being owed salaries that are not enough. They're still being owed.
And then we look at the brain drain.
And we look at the brain drain. We say a lot of, don't know if our doctors are in the UK. Engineers and all of that, cut across. Recently I saw a video, I don't know if you saw it, I have the link here, about a Kenyan lady that made that how Africa needs to study Nigeria in terms of excellence. And she listed out a whole lot of Nigerians doing well, including our own Hilda Bassi, that won the Guinness Book record for marathon cooking. So beyond this assessment for Nigeria as an entity, they should have also focused on Nigerians individually. Do you understand? They're already having giant strides within and even outside the geographical space called Nigeria. If you want to assess someone in terms of IQ, which I saw also that was listed, it's not just 1 + 1, 2. There are other things that shows that you're an intelligent person. Do you understand? For example, one of the factors of IQs, of intelligent quotients, which I study, is what I call analytical thinking, which most Nigerians have. Nigerians have the ability to sit down. I mean, look at what happened during the last election. When Nigerians decided enough of the back and forth of allowing them to do their thing, we came out to vote. I mean, the 2023 election, we can see that it was a far cry, from the previous ones, whereby people are nonchalant. You speak to people, they say, no, it's their thing, leave them. A lot of people came out. The interest was there. And of course, by 2027 going forward, you see that there will be a build-up. So Nigerians have analytical thinking. Nigerians are empathetic. Nigerians have, I've listed a few of them here, a strong sense of self-control. These are factors that determine if you are an intelligent person or not. Pleasant attitude to work, a precise and credible decision-making, strong sense of self-control, high emotional intelligence, analytical thinking, curious and open to new experiences, highly adaptable, skeptical. So if I list this thing on and on, you discover that Nigerians, when they leave this country and they go to another country, they still stand out.
But that's when they leave the country.
That's when even here in the country, we have Nigerians that are standing out. Do you understand? Regardless. So I need to balance between Nigeria as a country.
But there's something they mentioned here because, when you look at it, they say they aim to measure a range of cognitive, that's talking about IQ, which is an intelligence quotient test, aims to measure a range of cognitive abilities, including problem solving, logic, and comprehension. Wouldn't you say we have seen a drop in that in Nigeria? Why? Because some have pointed fingers to the emergence of social media as something that had impeded the education of Nigerians. And we see young people from the age of 14 always on social media. They see things. They do not research. They take it hook, line, and sinker, and that's it. They argue. Of course, you're on social media. You've seen some very funny argument that you will look at and say, for God's sake, just open Google and research. You will find the truth. But they don't. They rather argue and stick to it. They look up to a lot of people who are not supposed to be role models. And this has become a problem. I'm trying to recall a country that I saw yesterday that it was said that they noticed such a trend in the country and decided to ban young people from having access to phone until they clock the age of 18, and they notice a drop in depression. They notice more, improvement in education in that particular country. It's a country in Europe. I'm trying to recall it. Okay. I just saw it yesterday. So when you look at such thing, don't you look at it and feel social media has sort of was one of the causes of why we have, low education, and probably people with low IQ as well in the country. Yeah, you listed everything about Nigerians, which of course we've seen a lot of, but the fear is that young people of these days, how intelligent are they?
All right, thank you very much. I still want to use two words. It's something, the difference between your potential and the expression. Do you understand? Young people are potentially intelligent by default. Now, it depends on the expression of what is in them. Okay. And it is a common balance here where we are. It's called inside out. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. So if I want to go there, it's inside out. So it depends on your focus, depends on your interest. And what is still fueling this is still bad governance. And of course, a system that people are really losing faith in. Why are people taking social media hook, line, and sinker? Because they're looking at present-day realities and looking at what would I become if I settle down in the four walls of a university, get a certificate, and earn a few jobs that will not, maybe 50,000 naira, that will not be enough to even buy a bag of rice. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So these things, these factors around, these things they see, makes them have a decline in the interest in anything that has to do with education. You organize educational summits, almost nobody will come. Even surprisingly, sometimes some schools, I've done programs, some schools will even turn me down. Say, I won't lie to you, my children will not come. If they come, they'll be sleeping. Do you understand? But go tell them you're going to play something on social media or play a movie or play something. And you see them jumping. Or if you see during the conference, you have an interlude and you play music, they'll be alive during that 5 minutes interlude, dancing and jumping all of. But once you go back to tenets of learning and all of that,
becomes a problem.
You see the lack of interest. You see the seemingly lack of interest. So the point is, it's unfortunate though that social media too have played a role in this, which of course I won't argue. But going beyond that, it's just about awareness. It's just about reorientation, telling our young people that give or take, education is still the best legacy.
Truly,
no matter how you look at education as maybe for second-class citizens. Someone has said that to me. Yeah, why are you always reading too much? This is for second-class citizens. Such a derogatory statement. But you see that sometimes some people with all their wealth, I've been to the bank like a very wealthy man, he didn't know how to write figures. And he asked for my assistance. And I'm talking about figures in 8 digits. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, it's called that it's better to even have education and probably you're broke or trying to make essays than the other way around. You have all the wealth and you don't have, no, that's the truth, because over time you can be defrauded, you can be cheated, and of course you can even become a victim of circumstance. Depending on how things play out.
Nigeria, they will be the other.
Different stroke for different folks.
Who education help? I've heard things like that from a lot of people who will tell you that, as you mentioned earlier on, education has scam, leave it and stuff like that. And I think we have to do better when it comes to and I feel that the job of having, basic education or helping young people get that education falls on the table of local government. I feel that, now that they have autonomy, I feel that a lot to be done towards that. It's the grassroots. These kids are closer to the people. You're closer to the people. That's where the education system, and it comes in various forms. Not just the formal kind of education where you have in school. And I also feel that maybe schools could adopt different ways of teaching to make it more interesting.
Exactly.
I was shocked that what is obtainable during our own times in the late 80s and 90s are still people that come on. There needs to be innovative way of catching the attention of people, using the current situation to teach them exactly what they're not going back to the time. I passed by, I think like 3 weeks ago, I passed by a nursery school and I was saying A for apple, come in this model, come on. That's another example of it. A for apple, after all these decades now.
Yeah,
I mean, try to feel that local government, apart from state government, local government should be the one in charge. And I do hope that one way or the other, they should start realizing how important they are. If that's the only thing they can even achieve.
It's to be a landmark achievement for them, yes.
And that goes for their senators and people, those focus on education. Let those people get that kind of education, and then we grow. I look at China. China is always an example of how much education has helped. The same thing with India.
To stand out.
India too. Yes. India. That's why you go everywhere. You find that Indians are in position of CEOs, managers, and the rest, because that's so important to them.
Exactly.
Nigeria, one way or the other.
Let me quickly add that even beyond that, the government needs to also see how they could encourage a reward system in our educational sector. A reward system whereby you can talk to people, can see an appreciation for anything that has to do with learning education. Recently, you heard of the girl that the lady that died in Kwara State, I think Kwara College of Health Technology, for 15,000 naira.
15,000 naira.
Do you understand? That's disheartening.
Well, she was hired.
She was hired to act as a girlfriend.
And she died.
And she died. Look at the amount, 15,000 naira. So you can see that shows also that there's something wrong with the system. For 15,000 naira, people lose their lives.
Right. I mean, my director Kevin has been talking to me before. I do agree with you. What say that our problem right now is because we focus more on formal education. That 4 walls of schools. There are a lot of things. That the technical part of it. Just find what interests a young child. Yes. Let him focus on that. And I think the whole thing about, I don't know if parents still do that. If the millennials do their own time, parents will force you to do what you don't want to do. You must be a lawyer. You must be a lawyer. I don't think millennials doing that. Because personally, once I have a kid, I can't force you to do what you want. I will allow you groom him, he or her. I mean, in whatever field let them pick their interest, and while they grow, you know that, okay, this is what they want to focus on. If it's sports, encourage them, to grow. Yes, of course, there's education in sports and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I think it will be better for us.
And still on that, of course, there are different parts of this now. Of course, like you mentioned, the cognitive ability of the child is a psychomotor aspect of the child. So a child may not be very good in adding 1 + 1. To get
exactly,
but the child may be good in sports.
That's it.
Do you understand? So
then let him go.
Let him go. Yes.
Let him get that education through
he can become a sport enthusiast, sports analyst. He can even dive into maybe football or something. At the end of the day, he can become a master in anything sports.
But rather in school, you
call. Say no, go and do
and then in school you call him an olodo.
Yes, and those things.
They look at $1 at school, and that kills his confidence. And I think there are a lot of things we need to worry. I find it disheartening that even in Nigeria, in schools, teachers don't even realize that there are some students who are not quick in learning.
Yes.
They have this thing they call the ADHD, and it slows their learning. It's not that they're not intelligent or whatever, but the more you keep doing that to them, you deflate their confidence and every other thing. Why I'm saying is that in secondary school, I suffered a bit about that, on that, and later on, thank God I picked up by myself. But the thing
what
is
about those that couldn't pick up?
That's the thing.
I
was lucky enough to pick up and to know that, I can't, be in this position, because everyone started looking at me like a dullard. I wasn't a dullard. I was more even intelligent than a lot of people. But because of that, I had to put myself in a cocoon. But later I broke out and said, no, I'm not going to be hidden like that. I have to do more concerning myself. But it's left for the teachers, for everybody, families to recognize the fact that, 1 + 1, he cannot put that. What else can he do? And once you identify it, encourage him.
Exactly.
It increases the IQ.
Yes.
And please, we need to take ourselves out of 32. I think the list that came out in 2017 or 2018 were 6th in Africa. How come from 6th?
We went down to 32
now.
That's a cause for Allah. We need to wake up.
That is abysmal. Well, Nigerians are intelligent people. Let's be honest ourselves. We are. And we want to remain like that. So whatever number it is, let's do better. Anyway, we'll take a short break while we await your own contribution to this. I hope that you will be able to send your messages. What are your thoughts about Nigerians, the smartest people in Africa, Nigeria being 32nd on the list? Mauritius is number 1.
Number 1.
Chad, Seychelles, and the rest are even ahead of Nigeria. What do you think about it? What do you think the government, society generally, can do to aid young people becoming more intelligent, more educated? Please do that via our social media pages across all the platforms at Rave Television. Use the hashtag #BunRave or hashtag Love Thursday. And the WhatsApp number that I mentioned is only meant for messages. You can quickly send your message to us. Let us get a sense of what your thoughts are on this. And one